did it completely on her own.
She'd broken barriers all along.
The first lady governor who wasn't a governor's first lady. The fact that we associate her with a first anything says that she was a woman who broke barriers, who really advanced the cause of equal rights for women in a really powerful and dramatic way.
She was the only woman governor when she was governor, and that's why it made international news.
She became a governor at a time when there had only been 3 other women who had served as governors in all of the United States of America. The first woman governor in her own right.
She was somebody who was very tough, but she was also very motherly. That's why sometimes people called her Mother Ella. She was from an Italian-American immigrant family in Windsor Locks. Ella Grasso was extremely smart, and so she got a scholarship to go to Loomis Chaffee, and the same to go to Mount Holyoke. It would have been very unusual for the child of immigrants to go to a private school like the one she did, Loomis Chaffee.
She worked very hard to work her way up the field of politics in the state of Connecticut.
Ella had become governor by being Secretary of State, and as Secretary of the State, one of the jobs of the Secretary of the State is to go around and help every town and their clerks set up elections. And so she got to know everybody, and she was obliging and helpful, and it seemed like knew everybody in the state, so that when she ran for governor, everybody knew her and everybody liked her, and she'd been helpful. This was the era of John Bailey, the great state chairman who decided a great many things, and Ella was the first woman to really get through to John Bailey. And John Bailey, when Ella said, "I want to run for governor," John Bailey had to say, "You're the one."
It took her probably a little longer to convince him that she was the right person to be governor. Had she been a man, John Bailey would have let her run for governor earlier.
Ella Grasso was the first governor who began having regular press conferences. Up until then, and still today, you'll see in television, people will have an availability. They'll catch them in the hall, and everybody's walking down with cameras. And Ella said, "I should sit down with you in a civilized way, and you ask me questions." So she began having every week a news conference. It was unusual because governors up until then had not formally said, "Go ahead and ask me questions, and I'll tell you what I'm thinking." And she was the first one to really do that. So I found her to be a very warm and friendly kind of person who really took an interest in the reporters, and therefore the reporters tended to like her, which is good for politicians.
To come up in the profession that she did, it wasn't easy being a woman in politics.
Ella Grasso's career was a tug against both implicit and explicit sexism. I suspect she modeled her behavior to show that she could, win at politics, playing it however way the guys played it.
If somebody crossed her, somebody did something that she didn't like, she had a very long memory. So if you were a legislator and you were supporting a bill that she didn't agree with, she would remember that.
Her first few months as governor, she made a couple of mistakes that made everybody unhappy. And what she did was bring them into the office and sit down and say, "Okay, how should I have done it?" And they talked it through. And as I remember it, there were 1 or 2 cases where, in fact, she got her way.
She could swear like a truck driver, and she would if things weren't going the way that she thought. And also, she was someone that was very compassionate, and she really related to people who were struggling and did what she could to help them.
There were people who said I couldn't possibly vote for a woman, not just Ella Grasso, but any woman, because women can be so moody, and I just, I'm not about to do that. That was the undertow that she swam against.
She was also very good in a crisis. We had this huge snowstorm in the late 1970s, and she had to close the highways for a week. She was able to deal with all of those problems that came with the snowstorm very, very well.
Ella Grasso was the first one who said, elect me because I'm competent, because I'm capable, and because I can do the best job that can be done right now. And that is a powerful barrier for a woman to break.
She was also the first Italian-American governor ever elected, and I've had a lot of Italian-American people in Connecticut say that they were encouraged to go into politics because she got elected. She would go visit Italian women who were working at the Carmela coat factory in Middletown and speak Italian with them. So she was somebody who could relate to all kinds of people.
Ella Grasso did face barriers being an Italian-American woman. For many people, the fact that she was from an ethnic group really caused them problems. President Jimmy Carter's mother came to Connecticut on a visit, and she met with Governor Grasso. She didn't mean this to come out the way it sounds to us today, but what she said after she met with Governor Grasso is, I'm paraphrasing now. She said, I really liked her, but I somehow expected that she would be a kind of big, fat, sweaty Italian person. And that's a stereotype that people in Lillian Carter's generation held about Italian Americans, and they held different kinds of stereotypes about many other ethnic groups.
Ella died of cancer. But the cancer we were not told initially, we were given a rather technical name as to what she was ill with. For a little while, a week or two, they told us she was not well, and then they finally said she was hospitalized at Hartford Hospital with cancer. And I went over and found a cancer specialist, and I said to the cancer specialist off camera, I'm learning as a reporter, I said, the governor has this cancer, what's the prognosis for this cancer? And he said, it's always terminal.
Her body lay in state, so they took her coffin and put it on the bottom floor of the Capitol in the Hall of the Flags, and thousands of people came to pay their respects. One of the things that she did that has affected our state, but every other state in the country, and also other countries across the world, is the Freedom of Information law that she wrote. It's one of the toughest in the country, and other countries have modeled their Freedom of Information law after what we did in Connecticut. Any document that the government has, any citizen has the right to see. So I think that's one of the things that she did that is still making an impact today. That's why she is a trailblazer, not just for Connecticut, but for the whole country.